You guys, I shouldn't clap. You guys, we're doing it. Hello and welcome to the Disastrous Podcast.
Wait, we're just starting just like this? Just straight cold cut Leila out the gate?
Yeah. Oh, I mean, like, what? How else would you want to start this?
Exactly like this. I wouldn't want it any other way.
So this is the podcast where we talk about the horrible things in our world. My name is Leila. I am a producer and an editor, normally for like YouTube, Facebook content. And, you know, currently in this time, COVID-19, I'm unemployed. So let's make a podcast, baby.
Yeehaw, brother.
I mean, that's what you do.
Oh my goodness. I'm Dani. Hey, what's going on, everybody? I am a content creator / YouTuber. And I like disastrous things. I like it when things go wrong. For some reason, it feels so right.
I am Amber. I'm also a producer. I like to write and stuff as well. I like video games. I'm a nerd. And I love mess.
And what, Amber?
I love mess. I love mess.
Oh, mess.
Yeah. Dude, I for sure thought you said meth like 3 times.
I mean, I've never tried it, but I try not to yuck anyone's yum. So
if you're into it, go for it.
I mean, hey, meth has created some disasters out there. So
do you know how many jobs meth has created?
Wow.
So many jobs.
yeah, government jobs, and healthcare essential jobs. Meth is feeding this economy.
It's the future. Enough about meth. Leila, what is the topic for today's podcast? So we're talking about a disaster an episode, basically.
Every week, one of us is going to present to the other a disaster that, you know, has caught their attention, has, you know, put a sparkle in their eye, a deep-seated fear in the back of their head. And so this week, to kick it all off on our maiden
Our maiden voyage.
On our maiden voyage, I want to talk about another maiden voyage that was kind of a disaster. I am going to tell you guys about the sinking of the Titanic.
Ooh.
Oh, I'm so excited.
Okay, guys, so I'm sure we all seen the movie.
I have not seen the movie.
Dani!
Of course she hasn't seen Titanic.
I know. I didn't see, if I knew we were talking about the Titanic, I would have went, sat down, done my research, saw the movie.
I don't think you would.
I would not have. You are correct.
Okay, so let me go over my sources here. I got the BBC, The Guardian, History.com, USCitizenship.com or .info.
Nice.
Which is actually not a government website. They like went and told me via pop-up ads. I'm like, okay, great, thank you. Eyewitness to History.com, HistoryOnTheNet.com, Britannica.com. My fan favorite, been a fan for many, many years, Wikipedia.com.
All right.
My good friend Wikipedia.
And then I watched one lovely documentary. It's called Titanic, The History and Maiden Voyage of the Luxury Liner. It's free on Amazon Prime. So those are my sources.
Nice. So if it is not clear, this is a legitimately researched and professional podcast, too. We're having fun, but it's like the real deal.
Dani, please don't put that pressure on me.
Leila is a trained professional.
Oh, no.
A woman of her craft,
yes.
And she is here to bring those facts.
All the facts. All right. So, In the early morning hours of April 15th, 1912, the RMS Titanic struck an iceberg on her starboard side. I took a sailing class once, and I found out that port means left side because there's 4 letters in port and 4 letters in left. And starboard is the right side, which is the other one that you're like, okay, if port is left, then starboard is right.
Yeah, and as you know, there's 9 letters in the word right, so it all works out.
It's all adding up.
It's all adding
Hey,
up.
Layla's thing works, all right?
No, I mean,
if it works,
it's
it
not
works.
my thing. It's the sailor's thing.
Layla came up with this. It works for Layla.
Yes.
That's it.
right.
Also, you took a sailing
Yeah, I
class.
was about to
am
say
kind of
Malibu
jealous.
Beach. Okay.
It was actually in Monterey Bay.
Very nice, very nice.
We go Otters.
Okay, carry on. Hit him on the starboard. Hit him on the right side.
Yeah, on the starboard side. So the starboard, if you didn't know, if you're looking at the front of the ship called the bow, it's on the right. And then it's, the left is the other side. And they do this because you don't know which way is which because you're in the middle of the fucking ocean. So, anyways, it hits the iceberg. It opens 6 of her 16 compartments, which are like the things at the bottom of the ship that are like filled with air and other things to keep it afloat, causing a massive amount of water to come into the ship, causing her to sink, and resulting in the deaths of more than 15,000 people, making it one of the deadliest peacetime marine disasters in history, and one 3-hour-long movie that made my heart melt.
Wait a second.
Oh,
Layla,
no.
I'm sure that you did not mean 15,000 people died on the Titanic.
Oh, 1,500. You're right, 1,500.
Dude, I wouldn't have known either. I was like, damn, that's a big boat.
It is a big boat. It was a huge boat.
Wow. Yeah, so that was a big one, man. One of those big cruises.
You know what I say to that, Amber? Oopsie poopsie. All right. What was the Titanic? Thanks for asking. The Titanic was a British passenger liner operated by the White Star Line, which is like a boat company. It's kind of like the Carnival Cruise of today. It was the largest ship ever to be taken out on sea. At the time, there was one that was kind of currently being built that was going to be bigger. That was the Britannic, but Titanic came out first. So Titanic was at the time real big. She was built.
She's real big.
Thank you. She was built by the Harland and Wolff shipyard in Belfast. So it was built in Ireland. It took, I'm going to say this number correctly, 15,000 people to build the ship in 26 months. 15,000.
Damn.
Not 1,500.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Wait, to build that boat?
Yeah, dude, 15,000 people.
Oh my God.
So they employed a bunch of the Irish community in Belfast to build actually 3 ships because it was actually one of 3 these called Olympic Olympic Star Liners? No. Something like that. I'll find out.
Did they get the gold?
Wow.
Well,
I mean,
they got a gold. They were first in something,
the ship
right?
sank, so no.
Oh no. We'll get them next time though.
Sorry, they're the Olympic class ships. So the first was Olympic, the second was Titanic, third was Britannic. I already said that, which also sank, but it was due to a naval mine during World War I.
So that's 2 out of 3.
Wow.
Yeah, they had real bad luck.
Wait, so how is that third one doing?
The
Is
Olympic,
she still cruising?
dude.
Yeah.
The Olympic, it retired and it became they recycled it basically.
It's probably for the best.
Wow.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah,
I think those
honestly.
are hella cursed.
I mean, the other one's
Yeah,
broke.
now all of its
Yeah.
parts will be scattered around. Now all of these boats have just little bits and pieces of cursed boats.
I mean, yeah, that's how they make cars. Like,
hit
your
by
car
little
is like 10 other cars.
Oh, that's lovely.
Yeah.
It's like the
We wouldn't
circle
have
of
it any other
life.
way.
Now I had when I was doing this, I was like, why do they call boats she's and hers? I mean, I like it. Like, it's very, pro-feminist, and that's what we like. So,
She bad.
but so, who also had the same question was 8-year-old Charlotte.
Hell yeah, Charlotte.
8-year-old Charlotte wrote to The Guardian asking Dr. Pieter van de Meer, I should have practice that before I recorded myself. He was a naval historian he is a naval historian at the National Maritime Museum, and he was basically saying that it's probably like an old sexist joke. So he says old sailors like to use this sexist joke, like a woman, a ship is unpredictable. And I think like, I know it's sexist, but it just basically like it's. He was also saying, though, like, it suggests, though, that, like, the idea is that goddesses and mother figures play a protective role, and ships protect their, you know, their crew, the people aboard. Anyways, most likely, though, it's because the English language, as we know or may not know, there was, like pre-English language, there was this more, like, what is it called? Like, non-gendered names, or, like, it's, you know what I mean? Like, that's like a genderless term. They didn't really develop that when English was a thing, so they just gave like I guess, was it pronouns? Am I saying that correctly?
Yeah, but like, why did they have to gender it? Like, they could have just called it.
It's an
inanimate object.
Do you want the actual answer to that question?
Yes.
Okay.
Do you have it?
I mean, yeah. So English is like a mix of a ton of different languages. That's why it's so hard for people to learn like their second time around. And so the mixes of languages that English is, they all have different pronouns for different things. Like, for example, one of them is German. English is a Germanic language, and there's 3 different genders for every noun. So when English was developing, it just became like such a mess that we got rid of that because there was no way to keep track of them all.
Yeah, so that's why actually they have a theory. That's why God is a he, because they just like threw it. They were like, we don't have a pronoun that like supports a genderless person. So they're just like he, and that's why men oppress women.
And that's why the Titanic was a classy bitch.
She was dude, that segues into my next segment because she was a fucking classy ass bitch. During the time, there's like, you know, like big business. There was another competitor named the Cunard Lines. They apparently had a faster, cheaper boat for people to immigrate to America. However, the conditions on their boats were very poor. So the designers of the Titanic and the owners of the ship were like, you know what? We can't really be as quick as these. We can't really be as quick as them. But what we can do is make it hella comfy. So,
unless you're poor and then get in the basement.
Well, actually, though, the thing is, like, the third class actually had better amenities on the Titanic than, like, other boats.
Huh.
Yeah, which is interesting.
Sad.
Yeah. But I'll talk about it in, like, later, because I have a whole section about, like, the classes and what they all meant. But basically, to sum it up, during the early 1900s, immigration to America was hella popular, as we know. A lot of Eastern and Southern European immigrants came to America, and that was a huge... That plus, like, the Irish English was, like, a huge portion of the demographic on the Titanic. Cool. Ready to hear about the Titanic's features?
Oh,
so ready.
My God, I thought you would never ask.
Okay, so this bitch was 882 feet long and with 9 inches, but a big
Nice.
9 inches.
Oh, man.
Very good.
If you think about that, that's like, you know, what is that? Is that like fucking 800 football fields? Is that how football fields work?
That is not
don't know how
it
long
at all.
Fuck. Fuck, how do football fields work?
You heard it here first, ladies and gentlemen. When you say 800 football fields?
How many feet are in the football field?
It's a football field is measured in yards, and there's 3 feet to a yard.
Oh, well, never mind.
Amber's just raining on everyone's parade.
No, this is-
Can we just have this?
This is why we have Amber.
Questions. Am I not supposed to answer the questions?
We don't need your facts and logic up in here, okay?
No, Amber, please keep me in check, because if not, then everyone will know that I'm a big idiot.
I don't think you're an idiot.
Oh, go on.
I just think you're wrong.
Yes, and I'll admit to it. Okay, so anyways, it was 92 feet, 6 inches wide, and 104 feet tall. So this was a big boat. It weighed about 50,000 tons. They went into this whole thing about like how much it actually weighed, but then how much it weighed with like other factors into it. There's two numbers that they put out there. I just met in the middle at 50,000 tons. There were 10 decks. And then so the decks, that's where everyone, like most of the passengers had like access to like 8 of them. The rest were more for like crew and for like engineers and for the, the captain. And standing above the decks were 4 funnels. As if you look at the pictures, you can see the iconic funnels. If you saw the movie, you saw that one of them kind of
iconic funnels.
Yeah,
there's funnels.
It's for doing beer bongs.
It's like the big,
very large funnels. It was a party cruise boat,
dude.
Okay?
I mean, it was kind of a party. The funny thing about the 4 funnels on top. So if you look at the picture, you can see like the big ass cylinders on top of the boat. One of them was actually a dummy. Like one of them was like not actually real. They put the 4th one on top of there because they thought it would look like aesthetically pleasing, and it made it seem like the boat was really fast.
Oh,
I mean, it does.
Boat it is.
It does make the boat look better. Like I cannot fault them for that.
I mean, you could have just like
fake. It's all a sham.
It's a sham.
But it does look nicer.
I mean, I couldn't imagine them like if they got rid of it, they wouldn't like have like 3 up top and like one where the other one should have been like. I feel like they would have like sparsed it out nicely, Give it a nice balance.
All I'm saying is clearly they made some missteps with the Titanic, but we can congratulate them on the things they did right.
I mean, yeah, it's true.
They were artists.
Well, I mean, yeah, they really did put a lot of craft into the interior of it because it was designed for, the luxury, the elite, but they also did a lot of amenities for the 3rd class passengers. They actually really wanted them to write home to their family being like, wow, we had a lovely time. You should definitely go on the Titanic. We loved it. Super fun, super safe.
Specifically on April 15th.
We all went
Would
swimming.
Love for you to come cruise. Yeah. Wow. What an experience.
So the hull, which is the bottom of the boat, was divided into 16 compartments, as I said earlier. Each of them which could be isolated from the adjoining ones using special doors that close in an emergency. So they automatically close. They had a floaty system that if the water went to a certain level, they would shut the doors automatically. So crew people in the hull could have shut them. The captain could have shut them. But if either could forgot or couldn't, the thing would automatically shut on its own. So they were advertising it or claiming it to be watertight. Hang on to that one because it'll come back later.
Oh God, what's gonna happen?
Oh, I don't know. Okay, so the whole thing, steam powered, lots of coal. Because of these compartments, though, and that they would close, it was considered that the Titanic was unsinkable. And of course, the PR after the Titanic went down claimed that they never claimed that before, but there is a quote from the BBC where they quoted, sorry, I got a burp.
Okay, there's a helicopter flying over my apartment.
I don't hear
There's
it.
also a dog losing his shit outside.
I'm glad we're all doing well.
I feel like we're the Titanic.
Hope he finds his shit. Yeah.
So the White Star Line claimed afterwards that they never said it was unsinkable, but the BBC quotes their vice president to say, "There's no danger that the Titanic will sink. The boat is unsinkable and nothing but inconvenience will be suffered by the passengers."
Very good voice.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Can you sue them for false advertising if you die in their boat
did
crash
anybody
after they said it was
sue these
unsinkable?
people after the Titanic? Because not to be super lawsuit happy, but I feel like I'd sue somebody after that.
Yeah, I'd be pretty annoyed about that as well.
I just
Yeah.
feel like it's like the 1900s, like fucking the like what like big business is being big and businessy. Like no one's sued. You know what I mean?
Big and business.
Yeah, there are.
Dang.
Yeah, they just stomp all over everyone
Yes.
and make everybody drown in the ocean.
Yeah, seriously.
Can I ask a stupid question?
Yeah.
So, so you said it was like a coal steamship, right?
Yes.
So, like in the olden times, they would have like those big burly dudes like at the bottom of the ship, like shoveling coal and stuff.
Yes.
Are there on modern cruise ships, like, are there like big burly dudes like at the bottom of the ship? And if so, what are they doing?
Dude, that thought actually legitimately crossed my
Yeah,
head too.
right.
What was? I mean,
Because you do picture people like sweaty, just shoveling coal. that has to be automated. There's no way.
yeah. I'm pretty sure they use gas.
There's no way the Disney cruise ships like are operating on coal and steam. Like, there's
no,
just no
definitely
way.
not. Definitely not. They're definitely. I think they're using a lot of gas. Like, I mean, I didn't look this up because I didn't predict this question, but I'm pretty sure. Like,
You're supposed to be
no,
the expert, Layla.
I did it on a boat that happened over 106 years ago. Okay. No,
She didn't foresee this question.
I
It was
do
unreal.
know that like cruise ships are like a huge polluter, so I'm pretty sure they use like gas or something like that. I don't know, fuel.
If I
of some
were going to
sort.
build a cruise ship, I would simply make it water powered.
Wow.
I don't know why
I mean,
they
you could
haven't
also
done that
just
shit
sail
yet.
a boat.
Just put a massive sail on
Yeah.
it, like a mile high sail,
Yeah,
and just let it
exactly.
cruise.
Dude, before the Titanic, there was like a ton of like these like big metal ships. I'm assuming they're metal. I don't know. I didn't touch them, but like they had like big masts, like a freaking sailboat.
I feel like the first half of this podcast was like me trying to establish that I'm a person that knows things, and like the second half, I'm like, yo, how do boats work?
Layla, how do boats work?
Yo, honestly, I feel like if they're listening 30 minutes into this thing, they're like, oh, we're just telling each other stories. We're not experts on shit.
I got one last question.
Yeah, go ahead.
Why would you not make a cruise ship solar powered?
Because of big fucking business.
This is bullshit.
Also, then people couldn't tan out on the deck because it would be a big panel of something.
Dude,
you
right?
don't need it all over, like, all over the ship, just like in one place. This entire Titanic story is riling me up. It's making me angry about
Nice.
cruise ships today.
Yeah, they suck.
I love boats.
Cruise ships are like are big polluters. They trap their people on the boat because they have COVID-19.
The food's pretty good,
What are our
though.
thoughts on pirate ships? Y'all like pirate ships?
No.
No.
Pirate ships
They
are-
have a lot of booty.
Yeah.
But they do be having a lot of booty, okay? And I'm a supporter of booty.
Danny,
so
you
I'm a
know
supporter of
pirates
pirate
like
ships.
still exist, right?
Really?
Yeah, and they like
Oh, shit.
murder and they like murder people like hardcore.
Wait, didn't you?
I'm talking about, I'm talking about like 1600s pirates, all right? Like,
Yeah.
the kind that, the kind you see in the movies and the video games and stuff, not modern day pirates. Those guys are rude.
I
Yeah,
want to
very
peel
rude.
back the layers on this so badly, but we gotta keep going.
Yeah, we gotta keep going.
Let's keep going. I opened up a can of worms that we did not want to get into.
Okay, so to answer your question, Amber, there was 176 firemen, I guess is the right word to say it.
Nice.
They were the burly dudes at the bottom of the boat that was shoveling coal in there. They had them working round the clock, and the furnaces that they had required 600 tons of coal a day, and they were all shoveled by hand, which is insano.
Wait, 600 tons?
Yes.
They had enough
Damn.
room on there? Wait, how long was this on the water for?
So the maiden voyage should have been like 7 days.
Whoa.
That's crazy.
That's a lot of coal, bro.
Yeah, dude. One would say hella coal.
I'm sorry to ask so many questions. Are we going to figure out how much a ticket to get on this sweet voyage was?
Yes, I have it. So
Yay.
just wait, just hold on to your butt, Amber, because it's coming. Let me just finish up with the information that is the Titanic, okay?
Gotcha.
So, Morse code that was used as communication on the boat. Their priority was to actually send passengers telegrams, and then the second priority was like weather reports, ice warnings, other type of emergency type of thing. So that was how they communicated on the boat through to other boats in the ocean. Okay, so the lifeboats. So actually, the Titanic had more lifeboats than it was required to for a boat over like in the British Board of Trade safety regulations, if that makes sense. So like in 1886, the British Board of Trade made a guide. Their regulations required vessels over 10,000 tons to carry 16 lifeboats. Now, the Titanic is 50,000 tons. So they didn't really account for a boat this big. So they like actually had more than that was required, but it's because they didn't really think that a boat was going to be that big, if that makes sense.
Yeah, they broke the system.
Yes. They broke the system.
Well, good for them. So it made them like look good, but low key they like had less like ratio wise than the other boats probably.
Well, actually, so the Titanic itself had the capability of carrying up to 64, but that was reduced to 20 because they wanted people to enjoy the upper deck of the ship.
Wow.
The upper deck. Dude, are you serious? They took out 44. They took out like 2/3 of the lifeboats they had on there so people could enjoy the upper deck.
Yeah, because it was a luxury cruise.
Oh my God.
That's hilarious.
Is it hilarious, Amber?
I don't know,
Do you think it's hilarious?
It's kind of like... It feels like... And I'm not like an engineer or like a boat person or whatever. It feels like if you got a boat, you should have exactly enough lifeboats for the capacity of the boat. It just seems like that should be like common sense.
With the capacity, they had 53% of the passengers were able to be on the lifeboats.
So in that case, you're just saying like we're gonna lose half this boat.
In the event that we go down, you don't know if the Titanic's gonna
They didn't
sink.
know.
Yeah, they didn't know.
I'm just saying.
Also, assuming people know how to swim, the other half can just, float around and wait around,
You're gonna swim
it.
to New York in the middle of the ocean?
Yeah, it's chill. It's chill.
In the documentary I watched, they explained that there was like a theory that there was enough lifeboats because if they were to go down, they would just be like beep boop 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 boop, we are going down. Another boat will come and be like, hey, we can help you, and then they would just ferry the passengers to and from. But as we know, or if you guys saw the movie, that really didn't play out the way that they thought it would.
There were no other Good Samaritan boats to come to the rescue.
I will tell you about the boats around the Titanic in a bit. Okay, so that's the boat. That's the lifeboat. Who was on the Titanic? Oh, thank you for asking.
Oh my God. Is this going to be a running bit?
Well, if you can't tell, I'm just nervous. I'm just trying to have fun with this.
I think you're doing great, Leila.
Titanic?
Thank you, Amber.
You're doing great,
oh
sweetie.
my God, thank you.
Leila, I have a question. Yes. Who was on the
Oh my
Titanic?
God, thank you for asking. So on the Titanic, she could have accommodated 2,453 passengers, but at the time there was a coal strike. So actually, not a lot of people were able to get to the Titanic, if that makes sense. Like there was there's a big ass coal strike. People couldn't take a train. The world ran on coal back then.
Oh.
So yeah, there was actually only 1,317 people that were able to get on board, plus the 885 crewmen or crew members. So it wasn't at full capacity.
That makes it even worse that 1,500 people died.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah. That was a banger, man.
Jesus.
It was a big oopsie doopsies.
Yeah, big ol' oopsie doopsie poopsie scoopsie.
Yeah.
They only had 2,000
no.
people and 1,500 people died? Oh my God.
Yeah, they had over what? Okay, it was 1,300 plus 800.
It's 2,100.
21 and plus a couple, well, plus 17 and 85. That's like almost 2,200 people.
That's insane.
Yeah, so 1,500 of them died.
That's a mega
Big
yikes.
oopsie daisies.
Yes.
So to break down the who was there was 324 people in the first class. That was prominently upper class people. We all saw the movie except for Dani.
I did not see the movie.
List of passengers included like countesses, businessmen, their wives, some politicians. Apparently, J.P. Morgan, the guy who founded Chase Bank, or one of the other banks. I don't know. He's on my Chase Bank thing. Had a ticket, but he didn't go.
Is that Chase Bank?
Yeah, J.P. Morgan is like part of Chase or something like that.
Never
I
mind.
thought JP Morgan was just like its own thing.
Is it? I mean, maybe they merged. I don't know.
Either way, the man, the myth, the legend himself, JP, had a ticket and he didn't get on
he
the
stayed in
boat.
France. He was chilling.
Oh my God. What would we have done if we didn't have his luxurious bank in this day and age?
I mean,
because he was on the Titanic.
The cynical part of me, the cynical side of me, is just like there would just be someone else replacing that evil entity that he is.
Evil.
Some other names that stood out to me. This one's for you, Dani. Major Archibald Butt.
Oh, boy. All right.
For those of you listening, I do love butts.
The man died,
So
Dani.
Archibald.
Yeah, he died.
I am so
he definitely
sorry.
died.
Oh no!
But you know who didn't die?
Layla, this is devastating news. Who didn't die?
Margaret Brown, who was posthumously known as the unsinkable Molly Brown.
Oh my God. I've heard about her.
Yeah, she is a badass, and she's played by Kathy Bates in the movie Titanic.
Wow. What a cool title to have, the unsinkable.
Yeah, she was like new money, but she was like kind of gruff and kind of like just like, you know what? Like, fuck you. That was like kind of her personality.
She... Are you going to talk about her in this? Can I tell Dani about her?
Tell Dani about her, because I actually was running out of time, so I didn't look up more about her.
Oh.
So.
Yay. So she's on the Titanic and it sinks, and then she goes back to work for Olympic Boat Company and gets on the Britannic, the boat that got sunk because of the water mine.
Yeah.
Wait, so was she on that one as it got sunk by the
so she was on the Titanic. It sunk. She got off
my
of it,
God.
got onto another boat. That one sunk.
Dude, what kind of luck is that?
And then she survived, went home, and then worked on another boat.
Dude, she's a badass.
I would call it a day. I'd be like, you know what? I think that's it for me, you know?
I would be like,
I'm gonna
it's
find
time for a
something new.
career change.
Nah, she likes boats, man. Okay, and then another notable to let you guys know, a politician and the co-owner of Macy's department store, Isidore Strauss, and his wife, Ida. I'll talk about them later, but I just wanted to note that they were on the boat as one of the upperclassmen. Okay, so, Amber, to answer your question earlier, so depending on your accommodations for the first class, it ranged from 30 pounds to 870 pounds, which in today's money is 3,000 pounds or 87,000 pounds. Wait, did I say that correctly? 8730s.
Jesus.
Wait, what?
What?
And
Oh
I
my
converted that
God.
to USD because, you know, America, we're American. That is $3,666.90 and $106,340 and 10 cents.
God.
Imagine dropping 100
100
G's
Gs.
on a 7-day cruise ship that freaking sank.
Oh my
What
God.
day in did it sink? Because maybe they got most of their money's worth before it sank.
They were only like halfway through, dude.
Oh, yeah, that's a ripoff, dude.
Dude, so the people paying $80K got, you know, their parlor suites. They had like a people to help them, and they had a small private deck for themselves to chill on. First class passengers enjoy a number of amenities, including a gymnasium, a squash court, a saltwater swimming pool, electric and Turkish baths. I don't know what that means. A barber shop, a kennel for the first class doggies, elevators, and both open and enclosed promenades.
Jeez, imagine the clientele like just walking around that area. What would that even feel like?
I mean,
with people that drop that much
you just
money
gotta watch the
on a
movie
cruise.
Titanic.
Oh, it's all in the movie. Dude, if I had known we were talking about the Titanic, Leila, I would have looked up something.
The funny
She
thing
would
is,
not have watched a 3-hour-long movie. She would not.
Amber, the funny thing is, yesterday me and Dani were talking, and she brought up the Titanic, and I did. And I was like, "How did you know I'm going to do the Titanic?"
But she wouldn't tell me what we were talking about today. You played it off so well.
Oh my God.
Unreal.
Can you imagine? You are one of the people that's like from Ireland that's just like taking one of the crappy tickets so that you can make it to America. And you run into a rich person whose dog is staying in a $20,000 boat kennel.
He's a good boy. I mean, if I had that money to drop on my dogs, you don't think I would fucking do that?
Oh my God.
Lady,
You would do it in
dude,
a heartbeat,
Lady
dude, for
is
sure.
getting the best.
So when Leila's a millionaire, Lady is also going to be equally of status.
Yeah, no, Lady is high class.
She will be blinged out.
Oh my God.
She's a good girl. She deserves it.
Bark, bark, bark.
Okay, so then there was 284 people in the second class. The average ticket for the second class passengers was £13. That is about $1,123 today, or a $1,300 full in USDs. Those are, you know, leisure tourists, academics. There were families that, you know, could afford it. There was a, you know, like a priest on there or something like that. And they were just like, yeah, there. And a group of people that was there in that second class was the musicians, as they were not like members of the crew lines; they were just employed by them.
These are the musicians I was telling you about, Dani.
Oh, I watched the clip, the part with the violins.
Yeah.
Dude,
An honor serving with you, gentlemen.
Heartbreaking.
Yeah, I've seen that like 20-second clip. I got that part down. What a way to go out, though.
Dude, I mean, there's a whole thing about them. Okay, so then in third class, the largest class, you know, there was people just like seeking a new life. They paid about £7 or £698 today, which is about $853 in USD. If you want to think about it. I know, crazy, right? If you want to think about it in like a more millennial term, a ticket for Coachella is $429. So you can just buy two Coachella tickets with that. You can go weekend 1 and weekend 2.
Wow, girl. Wow.
Yes. So there were the most passengers on the ship, but you know, as I said earlier, they were actually like kind of nice cabins. Normally in these boats, they would just all kind of sleep in dormitories. They have to provide their own food. This actually had dining facilities. They had meals prepared for them by a third-class kitchen staff. The weirdest thing though that I thought was like kind of funny is that they actually had automatic toilets because they thought that the third-class people wouldn't know how to flush a toilet, so they just had
This isn't like the 1300s. This is like 1915 or something, right? Like,
yeah, no,
people had toilets by then.
What like a backhanded nice amenity to give someone. I think you're too stupid to figure out how to flush, so we're just gonna do it for you.
Hey, if it's brown, flush it down.
What did an automatic toilet look like in 1915?
It's just like a person standing there saying "ma'am" and then flushing it for you.
It's literally a person. They just hire like a child.
Yeah,
to hide behind the toilet and press it down.
So they had their own places to hang out. They had their own like mingling areas. The thing though is that they did not want the third class people to mingle with the rest of the people. So they had these gates that they kept closed that could be opened up by stewards in case of an emergency. Hang on to that thought because people fucking suck.
Oh no.
Anyways.
Whoa. Oh,
I feel like I know where this is going.
So just more about like the demographic. A lot of them were. It was thought that like 80% of the passengers were from the Ottoman Empire, like Turkish, Armenian people. But then I also read that there was like a lot of them were actually from like Ireland and England. What I did think it was interesting though is that 8 of the passengers were Chinese and 6 of them survived. But apparently they weren't permitted to enter the United States due to the Chinese Exclusion Act of the time.
What?
So imagine fucking surviving this fucking boat. And then the United States was just like, nah, dog, you can't come in. You're Chinese. Bye. And you were just like, oh, fuck.
What?
So
What did they? Oh my
That
god.
sucks.
yeah, it fucking sucks. Okay, so then the crew was, a bunch of deckhands. There was an engineering department, which was like the engineers, the boilermen, the firemen, the electricians. We got stewards, gallery staff, restaurant staff. It's like, imagine being like a fucking waiter on this boat. That sucks. Anyways, sorry. We got the post staff. A few notable people that will play into, the whole situation. We got the ship's builder, Thomas Andrews. He was played by Victor Garber in the movie. He was, in the movie, they portray him as like a really nice guy. He basically took over for another dude who like retired like halfway through this boat was being built. So he was there on its maiden journey. The captain was Edward Smith. Yes, Amber?
I'm sorry.
What are you gonna say? No, you're okay. I'll start over.
Imagine that you cover for your coworker. Fucking Titanic.
Oh man.
I'll be like, yo, Dani, can you cover for me? Like, just take this thing for me. And we're like, out, like,
Fine.
man, like, I
guess I'll cover your shift for you.
I
this
just like
one time.
The wife needs me to be home. She's been nagging me. Like, please, bro.
It'll be super chill, uneventful.
I mean, yeah, you're going on a cruise.
Just vibing.
Yeah, he's vibing. He's the ship's builder, played by Victor Garber. He was portrayed as being very nice. Then the captain, oh god. So the captain, Edward Smith, he was played by Bernard Hill in the Titanic movie. This was going to be his last trip ever. He like,
whoa,
yeah,
He was
man.
2
he was
days
62.
from retirement.
I know he was about to retire.
It always be like that. Come on.
He was 62 years old in his entire career. During his entire career, he never had an incident. Like none of his boats like sank. So yeah, he was taking on the maiden voyage. He's gonna retire after. That sucks.
Tragic. It's just tragic.
Dude.
Then there was J. Bruce Ismay. He was the businessman who served as the chairman and managing director of the White Star Line. He was played by Jonathan Hyde in the Titanic movie. So those are big people that play into the part of like, who like kind of oversaw the whole boat in the operations. One person that I would love to highlight is Violet Jessup. She was an ocean liner stewardess and a nurse who's known for surviving the sinking of the Titanic and the Britannic. And she was also on board the Olympic when it collided with another warship. So that was just someone who's just kind of cool.
Oh, jeez.
She's no unsinkable Molly Brown, but she is a working class lady, and she survived 3 of those fucking boats.
How do these women keep finding themselves in these situations on these boats? I don't want to victim blame, dude, but like you gotta stop getting
they're
on
just
boats.
fucking badasses, and they're like, you know what? I'm not letting that incident ruin my fucking good ass time. They're like, you know what? Like, I need a job.
Jesus. I feel like if I got on one sinking boat, that would be like the defining moment of my life. That would be it.
Yeah, I agree with Amber. I would not get on another boat, especially to work on another boat.
Not to quote Chumbawamba.
Oh no.
But I think you gotta embody the idea that when you get knocked down, you gotta get up again.
Dude. Leila.
There's gotta be a limit. There's gotta be.
Dude, there are times to charm. There are times to fucking
When you
charm.
crash at sea and
Okay.
sink.
So that's everyone on the boat. So the voyage. So the Titanic was built. It was tested. It was ready to go. It was actually due to set sail on March 20th, but the Olympic lost a propeller for whatever reason.
Oh God.
So they had builders pulled from the Titanic to fix that. So it set back the Titanic 3 weeks.
So were they on that tight of a schedule to like finish the boat and then immediately get it going? Like,
I will say, deadlines, man. Big business loves deadlines.
hey, on that deadlines, we're setting sail whether this boat is done or not. Hurry up.
At this point, we've
got money to make, man.
We've got a slow boat. The other boats these people have made have got parts falling off of them. Like, they're short on crew members. Like, every piece of information that like movies and TV give you about this, they're like, oh, nobody could have known. But like, this all sounds like a pretty predictable that this is gonna be a disaster.
Dude,
I don't know. I didn't see it coming.
Not to like, I don't know, feed into that narrative, but like, yo, this is like the confidence of a white man. They're like, no, she's going. She's fucking going. Nah, bro, we're doing this.
Oh my God.
So, on April 10th, the boat, everyone boards. I only saw reports that they only checked the third class citizens for lice and diseases. Everyone else was able to go on.
Holy shit.
Dude, if you pay $100,000 and you have lice, like just let them have lice. They paid $100,000.
I think that
they little dirty, nasty ass can be.
I feel like everyone's.
These boat people are classist as fuck.
I agree with Amber.
We're gonna give you automatic toilets because your stupid little poor person brain probably doesn't know how to flush it. Also, get your ass over here so I can check you for ticks.
Yeah, no, I agree with you. They're not great people.
Hey, but they got the automatic toilets, okay?
Yeah.
That was a nice amenity. They did.
It was nicer. There was
Did
worse
the
boats
rich
out
people
there.
get automatic toilets?
No, because they know how to flush a toilet. So on April 10th, everyone gets on the boat. They stop at two places. So they stop and there's like a French port called Cherbourg. I mispronounced that. Sherbert. So they picked up and dropped off some passengers. Imagine being like being like, we'll just take it a little bit. That's kind of fun. You know what I mean? It's like, you're like, boop, boop. One stop. There we go. And then on April 11th, they arrive at Cork Harbor, which was also like Queenstown. And present day is Cove, Ireland. I had to like look that up. I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing it correctly. Basically, they stop in the southern coast of Ireland. So apparently, and this is part of like the conspiracy theory, is that there was actually a fire that lasted for like 4 days in one of the hulls, where it was like like while they're like going, like it started before people boarded, and it happened like while like they were going from like there to, and it ended in like after they stopped at that Queenstown. So they think that people like for the longest time thought that this fire was the reason why it was like so weak. No, it's just that icebergs are really hella strong.
Oh my God.
Strong piece of ice. I'm just picturing, you know that meme where that dog is sitting in the house that's on fire and he's like,
Yes.
That's That's
but
how I'm
this dog
picturing,
has a monocle, and instead of sitting on a chair, he's sitting on like a poor child.
Yes, indubitably.
I'm really upset that the 4-day boat fire wasn't in the movie.
Just like a little hint of it.
Yeah. They had 3 hours. They could have fit it in.
I'll be honest, that movie is actually like 3 and like 2 like in a quarter hours. So it's like even longer than 3 hours. It's like over 3 hours. Yeah, I mean, I feel like James Cameron was like, he put in so much, like I actually watched a movie the other day and he did actually like put in all these little details that was like so interesting and cool. Like there was like actually dogs that you could see. But yeah, he skipped over the fire part, which is weird. All right, you guys ready to hear how this boat sank?
So excited.
Absolutely. Layla, how did the boat sink?
Dani, thank you for asking. So, on the morning of April 14th, 1912, apparently they actually did have like a like an emergency like fucking. They're like, yo, everybody, we're gonna do like a little like test run on these lifeboats. Apparently, they did it. They did it, you know, in the most like pish posh way possible. No one remembered a thing. I don't know. But there was actually, they got like the Morse code. You guys remember that? The Morse code. They got like boop, 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 boop.
Yes.
They got texted. Someone beep bopped them being like, yo, there are some ice. We see a lot of bergs out there. They actually said bergs, which I think is funny because like, I
really?
call it bergs. Yeah.
Straight up like, hey,
Yeah,
y'all,
I love that.
we're seeing a whole lot of bergs up ahead, just so you know. Beware them bergs, bro.
A Titanic, you up? There's a lot of bergs out here.
Hey, Titanic, you up.
So there was warnings of drifting ice in the area, and actually the Titanic passengers even noticed, like, you know, they saw chunks of ice out there. But nevertheless, the ship continued to steam at full speed, which was criticized and deemed reckless later on, but at the time, that was standard maritime practice. And it was generally believed that, like, for a boat that size, ice wouldn't do shit.
They were just like, we are stronger than you.
Okay. The night of April 14th, there was reported there was no moon in the sky, so all the witches were gone. Just kidding.
Write this down.
Dumb joke. No, so when there's no moon out, obviously, like, it makes it hella dark. Like, you can't see anything as well. Apparently there was actually a mix-up at Southampton where they like launched off where they like didn't get binoculars, but people say that like binoculars wouldn't really help in this situation because it was so dark. The sea was like really calm, like it was like this like smooth water, so people weren't really expecting, you know, a massive ice cube coming towards them.
Ice monster.
Big ice monster, big icy boy in their future.
Do modern boats have like a bunch of lights on them?
I assume so.
Like I feel like that.
Yeah.
Was that one like it literally just like didn't have any way to see in front of it, or?
Well, they could see, like there was lights on the boats, like they had electricity. It was just more that like the rest of, because they're in the middle of the ocean, the rest of the world was
So dark.
pitch black.
I also imagine the lights
there's,
probably
like,
weren't that bright, right?
No, but also like there's a whole thing about like our night vision as humans where like white light or yellow light actually like impairs our night vision. So like astronomers use red lights to help them see better in the dark, but because it's like a passenger cruise ship, everyone was, you know, using their standard lights.
Right. Nobody had the fancy red lights.
No, they didn't think about that. They didn't think about that.
Amateur hour over
Amateur
here.
hour. Okay, so at so this is before 11:30 p.m. Most passengers have gone to bed. The command of the bridge has passed to Second Officer Charles Littrawler. From Charles Littrawler to First Officer William Murdoch. There were lookouts. The lookouts were Frederick Fleet and wow, how do I say this word? Reginald? Yes, Reginald. Thank you. Reginald Lee, who were occupying the crow's nest.
Gotta fire him.
They did it. They were doing a great job until that one time when they didn't. They were doing great until that iceberg came out of nowhere, Amber.
Yo,
It
we're
really
not
just came out of
perfect.
nowhere.
Look, they gotta go.
They tried
They're
their
like-
best.
They gotta go.
their report, the HR report was like, we would have given you a raise, but there was a whole iceberg incident,
A lot of people died. A lot of people lost their jobs also because they're dead.
Yeah. So they were told actually to keep an eye out for ice because of the ice report.
Sorry.
Is that funny, Amber?
I mean, they were told, there's ice out there. Keep a fucking eye out.
But also, you have to understand, like, these guys think their boat is unsinkable. They have white man confidence. They're like, this boat is not fucking going down. We built it.
Oh, my God.
So, so they don't have binoculars, it wouldn't really make a difference anyways. But apparently they saw like a slight haze at 11:30 p.m. in the horizon, but they didn't make anything of it.
You gotta fire them.
People...
Gotta.
People now believe that maybe it was a mirage that caused by the warm air and the cold water. That they didn't necessarily... That no one can like prove that it was actually the iceberg. Just because of like there are reports of like in that area of like mirages happening because of that like natural effect.
Spooky.
But, yes, I know, right? 9 minutes later, at 11:39 p.m., Fleet spots the iceberg and rang the lookout bell 3 times, and he telephones the bridge warning Moody. So basically, the idea that they put into effect to try to avoid this berg it's called a port around, which is basically they swing the bow around to the obstacle and then they swing the stern, so both ends would kind of just like whoop around the whole thing.
So they're like Tokyo drifting.
Yes, a Tokyo drift around the iceberg. That didn't work.
Oh.
Obviously. So basically, this is where I like, you can tell I copy and paste this shit. So,
Leila, don't admit that.
Why? I had sources at the beginning of this whole thing.
We are relaying this information. Leila, it is okay if you copy pasta.
Oh, boy.
Thank you. Also, I'm using it in my own words. Like, have you counted how many likes I say?
True, that's true paraphrasing right there.
So there was a delay before the order went into effect. The steam-powered steering mechanism took up to 30 seconds to churn the ship's tiller. And the complex task setting the engines into reverse would also take time to accomplish. So basically, they were like 30 seconds too late. Because the turbines could not be reversed and the rudder wasn't positioned correctly, it basically like was just like too little too late. It reduced the rudder's effectiveness, and basically like if they were slower, because like they were going at top notch, they could have missed the iceberg, but they obviously hit that big boy. So
Going fast.
That ended up being like the way that they tried to go around it, they avoided a head-on collision, but it definitely just went like skid marked across the whole thing on the right side. The way that it hit, it was like it hit on the right side. It hit for 7 seconds. Chunks of it just cut into the steel. And like the whole thing is like they were like maybe the steel was bad. No, the steel was good. The rivets were good. They were just going way too fast, and that was like just like 50,000 tons and a big rock basically. Bump.
I have done the same with the passenger side of my Jeep Patriot.
You hit an iceberg with your Jeep?
Yeah. Exactly that.
Basically, so most of it, the damage was below the waterline. And actually, there was like little evidence on top of the deck that there was even a collision. There was like ice chunks, but like you didn't really see damage on the boat on the top half of it. which is crazy.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. People notice the shutter, but they kind of thought it was just like the propeller doing something weird, a boat just being a boat, you know.
Making boat noises, doing boat stuff. Yeah.
Boating itself around. Again, most of the people were asleep. And also, if you've been on a boat, this kind of rocks anyways. So, like, whatever. You're kind of not, you don't really know.
Yeah,
Plus,
everybody's
it's
drunk.
unsinkable.
You're on vacation. Yeah.
Exactly. Dude, there was actually reports where people would pick up the ice and put it in their drinks because they were drinking.
Holy
like,
shit. That's so morbid. Oh my God.
Yo.
Ugh. That's like a metaphor for something, right?
Yeah, right?
But are those the same people who don't know how to flush the toilet?
No, these are the posh people.
Oh my God.
The high class.
High
broads.
class. The ship began to flood immediately.
Yeah.
So the water coming in, there was all this math, but it boils down to there are systems to pump out the water, but the water was coming in so fast that it was 15 times faster than it could be pumped out.
Oh, damn.
So it was coming in. There was a report of, so also because it's obviously an iceberg, the water was hella cold. So Captain Smith felt the collision immediately. He went to, he was like in his cabin, so he went to the bridge. He, this is, as I said earlier, was his first crisis of his career. Some people say that he kind of like fucking panicked.
I mean, yeah, dude.
Yeah, which I don't really like blame him for. Like, you don't know what you're gonna do in that situation. But from all of like the rest of the reports, it seemed like he tried his best to keep everyone going and calm. But because of the time and the standards and the practices, like. And this is also the biggest boat to ever sail ever. Like, people just were, like, learning as they go. They definitely winged it.
I mean, yeah.
Just like how I'm doing with this podcast.
I love the idea that, like, this old, hardened-ass sailor, like, his boat gets hit, and he just has, like, a meltdown, like...
Yeah.
Like, when
what do we do? What do we do?
When I got into my first car accident, it was just a fender bender. It was fine. Somebody hit me. But, like, there were, like, tears and snot just, like, pouring down my face. And I was, like, on the phone with the insurance lady, like, I didn't know. And he was, and I was stopped. And he, and I just love imagining this captain, like, just trying to
but
deal
sending
with
that
it.
in Morse code.
Exactly.
He's sending that in Morse code. Beep, boop, beep, pop, beep, boop.
So he summoned Thomas Andrew, that's the ship's builder. They went below deck and they found that, like, the cargo hold, the mailroom, the squash court was all flooded. No. And that boiler room 6 was already filled to the depths of 14 feet. So when he saw that, Thomas Andrews was just like, yeah, it's going to sink.
The time is now.
Yeah,
Man.
so he was like, since the first 5 compartments were flooded, the Titanic was gonna sink, and he said about 2 hours, and he was about right.
It took 2 hours for it to go
So
down.
fast.
Oh yeah,
That feels fast,
yeah,
though.
yeah. It was hella fast. That's shorter than the movie.
They could have just showed actual footage of
Oh
the
my God.
Titanic sinking
Yeah.
in the actual movie.
If I started watching the Titanic when they hit the iceberg, I would, like, just get to the sex scene when, like, it was gone. Man.
She nasty.
Yeah. So water was spilling over into boiler room 5, or number 5 boiler room. The crewman in there was battling to pump it out. And number 6, 2 engineers were struck by a jet of icy water. Both escaped before the watertight doors closed. So this is actually really dangerous, though. Cold water meaning really, really hot steam. That causes things to explode. So there's, basically the people who were, like, at the bottom. They were like the fire people, boiler room people. They reduced the fires and events, and they basically worked in the freeze, like waist deep in freezing water to try to prevent like an explosion to happen. About 5 minutes after the collisions, all the Titanic's engines were stopped. So basically, the reason why they said it was not sinkable is because like the way these watertight doors worked is like they would close automatically, but they weren't sealed at the top. So to give you like a comparison, it's like imagine like a tray of ice, like an ice tray. You know how water will spill over if you fill it to like the very brim?
Oh, yeah.
So that's how it worked. Like instead of it being a completely waterproof and like airtight, it wasn't sealed, so things would spill over. The Titanic was only designed to float if any 2 compartments were flooded, but because it was 5, that's why Thomas Andrew was like, yeah, it's gonna go down.
Wow.
I have a question.
Yes, questions.
Do you think if the Titanic hit the iceberg from the front, would it have caused less damage? Or did it cause more because it scraped the entire side of it and ripped it open?
That is a really good question. I feel like I think just because of how fast it was going, it would have, if it hit, it would have sunk no matter what.
It would have made like the front smash in or something.
Yeah, I think so. I don't know how much faster, and also like if it like hit right and it like was stuck on the ice, like would that mean that like people could like it would be using the ice to like keep it afloat a little bit longer? I don't know.
Dude, yeah, I don't. It just seems unfortunate that like the bottom half that was underwater just got like completely opened up, so a bunch of water could flow in there.
Right, exactly. I mean, it's unfortunate. The whole thing was unfortunate.
It's a travesty. No, just specifically that one part. Everything else is fine.
So okay. Within 45 minutes of the collision, at least 13,500 tons of water has entered the ship. That was far too much of for like the ballistics.
Yeah, I'd say so. That was definitely far too much water.
The boat was not accustomed nor planned to have that much water in it.
It was far too much for the Titanic's ballistics in its pumps to handle. At 12:05 in the morning, Captain Smith ordered the ship's lifeboats to be uncovered and for the passengers to be summoned. So they didn't think to put in like a public PA system for the whole crew. So basically stewards had to go door to door awakening people, being like, get up, please. Wiggy, wiggy.
Oh, my God, dude.
But the thing was, people who, the passengers thought it was, either a joke. They thought, so there's a thing called listing when the boat will, tilt to the side because it was hit on the right side. It was, tilting a little bit to the side. They thought it was just that. They didn't really take it seriously. And, the whole idea is, you don't want to, scare a mass amount of people because of chaos. So there was no public PA system. Everyone was ordered to get on the boat's deck. People were upset because it's hella cold. They wanted to be inside, which I understand because if I'm, remotely cold, I'm so mad.
Woken up out of a dead sleep.
I was, oh my God, wake me up from a nap? Don't you fucking dare.
Unreal.
And also the boat is sinking, That and also the boat is sinking.
So at the same time, he orders the radio operators to send a distress signal. But the issue is that they were inaccurate with their location. They thought there were 13 miles elsewhere.
Oh shit! Yeah, how would you even calculate that back then?
Yeah.
Look at a map and be like, we're at approximately this
Look
coordinate.
at the stars.
You will see a very large piece of ice and a boat next to it.
So at 12:15 a.m., Captain Smith orders the distress signals. The stewards begin ordering people to put on their life belts. But because they didn't say the boat was sinking, people took it as a joke, as I said. There's like reports of people playing soccer with like the ice chunks on the deck, which is actually a scene in the Titanic. And then that's when Captain Smith orders the band to start playing music to help calm the nerves of the people.
This is very chill evacuation, everyone.
Apparently, though, they were playing...
Jazz.
This is a mess.
Apparently, they were playing, like, very joyful music, like, jaunting music, you know,
like Sugar, We're Going Down Swinging?
Oh, my God. Exactly. At 12:20 a.m., the lifeboats begin the board. So light trawler and Murdoch starts beginning to fill the boats with women and children first. There was like a confusion though. Like some of them were only filled with women and children, and some of them were like women and children first. This kind of just plays into the fact that like they just weren't prepared for this shit. They also didn't know how much like the boats can carry. So the boats could carry, I think, a capacity of 65 people. They aired on the side of caution. So there were, there was boats with like 28 people. Some of them had like 32 people. Some of them only had 12 people.
So now they want to be cautious.
Yeah, exactly. They did this.
Now is the time to be cautious.
So they just didn't want to sink the lifeboats. That was an issue. Like they just didn't think to fill them to like their full capacity. So
dude, that's sad.
So they filled up the boats. They were aired on the side of caution. They did not want to fill to the full capacity because they didn't know. So at 12:20 a.m., this is when the Carpathia. This is when the Carpathia receives the Titanic distress signal, but the issue was that they were 4 hours away. But they turned immediately to try to aid the Titanic. There was actually a boat that was much closer. The California was reportedly somewhere between like 5 to 20 miles away. But their communication officer reportedly went to sleep 10 minutes before the Titanic hits the iceberg. So
oh my God. Are you kidding me?
Yeah,
Man.
They just didn't hear it. They didn't know.
Oh. Dude, it's relying on that one guy. Like that one guy who was like, oh, now I guess it's time for bed.
It was nanny time.
1,500 people die. He's probably busy watching TikToks before bed.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah, I just missed it.
Yeah, I was about to say, like, are you allowed to just sort of put your ship's communication thing, like, on
just
sleep
put it
mode?
on airplane mode. Yeah, if you're tired, you want to go to bed, just set it on airplane mode.
Dude, they like fucking... There was no rules. They just didn't know. They didn't think about it. They were like, whoopsies.
As long as we learn something from that, I hope they took some kind of lesson from that.
They didn't, because remember, their other ship sank after this.
It got hit by a mine, though. Come on.
Yeah.
Okay, so at 12:45, the lifeboats were lowered every 5 minutes on each side. Most of the boats were greatly underfilled. Number 7, which had 28 passengers on board, despite the capacity being 65. Number 6 had 28 people on board. This is where our girl, unsinkable Margaret Molly Brown, was on. Number 5 left with 41 people. Number 3 had 32. Number 8 had 39. Number 1 had 12 out of 40 possible people that could be on the boat. The evacuation obviously did not go as smoothly, and passengers suffered accidents and injuries as it progressed. For example, some lady fell between the boats, like the lifeboat and the boat, but someone caught her by the ankle and was like, yoink, and like threw her back into the boat.
Did that make it into the movie?
Oh.
I don't know. I don't remember that.
I don't think so. I do remember people falling between the boats. I remember that shit.
So, another lady, a first-class passenger, she broke several rids and like was knocked unconscious because a doctor and his brother just like yeeted themselves into that boat. So they just like jumped in it and just fucking broke their fall on this lady's chest.
Oh,
I don't know why I'm laughing. It's not funny.
that's rude. That's so rude.
While this is all happening, the crewmen fought to maintain the vital services as waters continued to pour into the deck below. They were working on to vent the steam from the boiler room to prevent the explosion, as I was saying. At 1:20 a.m., boiler number 4 began flooding. The water soon overwhelmed the pumps and forced the firemen in they had to like basically leave. So there's like a legend though of this guy, Chief Engineer Bell. Him and his like crew basically volunteered to stay behind to help keep the things unflooded. And they keep the basically they were working on the boilers to keep the electrical generators working so that the lights and the radio could still operate, and they sacrificed themselves. None of the ship's 35 engineers or electricians survived.
Aww.
By 1:20 a.m., the seriousness of the situation was very apparent. So there were
A couple hours later.
Why did it take that long? They hit the iceberg at 11:30, dude.
Yeah.
Like
they were just like, bitch, boss, cheerio.
No need to make a big fuss.
Like you gotta start
No
taking
need to
it
make
seriously.
a big fuss unless you know for sure. You know?
You know that like stereotype that British people are like way too polite? British people are way too polite if it took them that long to lose their shit.
So distress flares were fired every few minutes below deck. Many of the third-class passengers were confronted by the water. And you guys remember those like gates that I was telling you about? There were issues where people did not remember to open them gates. So people got...
Wait, so those gates are like literally locked and not unlockable?
Yeah, they were like to keep the, you know... If they didn't even know that they were poor already, they were like... Stay below.
Keep you in a cage.
Yes, exactly.
That you cannot unlock on your own.
So that's you know, oopsie daisies, number 325. First class people didn't survive as well. Above deck, people were started saying goodbye. That guy that was saying about the Macy's store owner, his Isidore Strauss. So he decided that he was going to give his spot up for women and children. A lot of people, like, before the chaos really happened, like, they were being very gentlemanly. There's, like, reports of people, like, taking off their life vests and, like, going into the lounge, putting on their, like, nice evening, like, their best dress and smoking cigars in, like, the smoking lounge because they're going down with the ship like gentlemen. So Isidore Strauss decided to give up his seat for women and children. His wife, Ida, reportedly decided that she did not want to, you know, leave her husband behind. So they stayed together on the ship, and they were last seen sitting on the deck, just like sitting side by side, watching as everyone gets really scared.
I mean, they're like rich people, so like whatever, but you know.
Yeah, but like how comfortable you gotta be with death to just like be like, all right, I mean,
yeah,
we're going out. Let's just hang out, enjoy these last few moments.
All right, seriously.
Holy shit.
So at one point, panic ensues and a group of passengers tried to like rush into the boat 14, and Officer Lowe fires 3 warning shots into the crowd.
And now there's a gun?
Yeah, so basically like they were like threatened with a gun to try to not save their lives because there are not enough boats and they're not filling them enough. They're not filling up to capacity, and just to kind of keep order. Order.
There's like there's too much happening right now, dude, for you to be shooting at us. Like there's just too much.
Yeah, I mean, honestly though, like I feel like if I were to get shot versus like drowning, I think I'd rather get shot. I don't know.
Yeah, water's pretty cold. I hate cold water.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking.
I'd be so annoyed. Yeah.
Yeah. So
I mean,
annoyed.
at that height, if you hit water that was that cold at that height, you would be in shock like the second you hit it. So
True.
yeah.
Okay, so at 1:40 a.m., they got rid of all those different types of lifeboats. Now they started using the collapsible boats. So collapsible boat C launches, and along those was the White Star chairman and managing director J. Bruce Ismay. He's Titanic's most controversial survivor. He made his escape from the ship and later was deemed a huge fucking coward for the rest of his life.
I mean, yeah.
Nice.
Yeah, he was the highest ranking director person to survive. Okay, so then there was other stories about how there's a story that's really sad about this lifeboat A. It has a miss launch basically, and this is one of the last ones. People try to get on it, and basically it gets lost at sea, and they later find it with 3 dead bodies on it.
That is so sad. Also, I feel like if you were in that boat and you got off of the ship, would you not just stay around all the other homies who just got in the lifeboats?
Well, okay, so then there's an issue. I'll get to it in a minute, but
okay.
there was an issue where basically when the boat finally sank, they were afraid that people would come and zombie horde the boats and sink the lifeboats. So they immediately paddled away.
Oh, that's pretty morbid and sad.
It's kind of right though.
Yeah. At 12:05 a.m., the last boat launches. At 12:05, the Titanic's bow has sunk low enough for the propellers to be visible out of the water. So it's, going nose first. Captain Smith apparently carries out a final tour of the deck. He tells the radio operators that they're relieved of their positions, and reportedly said that now every man for himself.
So when you say giving a tour, what do you mean?
He
just is he's watching the chaos happening.
Okay, cool.
MTV Cribs.
It's not
Come in with the cameras, do one last run through before she went down.
I wasn't sure if they were just going all right, well, we're stuck here, business as usual, I guess.
No, he was just basically relieving his crew, just kind of walking around, taking in the scenery.
Okay.
Yes.
And then he reportedly went to the bridge of the ship, and he went down with the ship.
Man.
The ship's designer, Thomas Andrew, reportedly was last seen in the first class smoking room, and he has removed his belt. He was reportedly just staring at a painting when the ship was going down.
I love that for him.
At 12:17 a.m., the radio guy Philip sends his final distress signal. He also dies.
Bye, LOL.
Oh no! I realize we're having way too much fun with this. This is so sad, and we're just
it was 100
LOL.
years ago. It's fine. Everybody else has parodied it. Futurama did 2 Titanic parodies. I can make some jokes.
Dude, I literally saw a Titanic. You know those big inflatable bouncy slides?
Oh my god!
There's a Titanic one. It came to my school. I'm not even kidding. It's a sinking Titanic. Look it up. There's literally a
that's
sinking
great.
Titanic slide.
Oh my
An
god.
inflatable slide.
I love that. I love that.
So wrong. But I slid down it anyway. I had a great time.
Oh my god, it's so fucked.
Oh my god, that's great.
Okay, so 12:18 a.m. the lights on the Titanic goes out. Now everyone is in pitch darkness. The bow continues to sink. The stern rises higher and higher, placing great strain on the midsection. This boat is hella long, as we know. So that's when the boat decides to breaks into 2. That was between the 3rd and the 4th funnels because of physics. So it splits in half.
Was that one of the fake funnels?
Maybe.
Oh, we'll never know.
So reports would later speculate that it took about 6 minutes for the bow section of the boat to reach the bottom of the ocean floor. The stern momentarily settles back in the water before rising again, eventually becoming vertical. So it's basically going vertically straight down. It remains briefly until it begins its final plunge. It takes 2 minutes for it to finally disappear. So at 2:20 a.m., the stern disappears. The Titanic is gone. It took 2 hours and 40 minutes after hitting the iceberg for it to disappear entirely. Again, shorter than the movie.
Wow.
Oh my God.
So hundreds of people were in the freezing water. Oh, now I found the temperature.
Including Leo.
Yep.
The fucking
Couldn't get up on that piece of wood.
dude, it was big enough for the both of them.
Couldn't get up on the piece of wood. Wouldn't
I
hurt.
assumed, Leila, that you had a section for the door. I thought that that's where this was all leading up to.
Yes, this is a whole. This is a big joke that it's this 11-page script that I wrote is all for a giant joke for a movie that came out like 21 years ago.
22.
Counting.
Well, who's
you know.
counting? Age is just a number. Anyway,
So there's not a
100
section
people.
on the door, is what you're saying.
No, I'm sorry. Was it even a door?
I think
thought
it was
like
a door.
table.
I don't know.
Maybe a cabinet. 100 people are in the freezing water. The temperature of the water was 28 degrees Fahrenheit, which is -2 Celsius, which is lethally cold. Although there was room on most of the lifeboats, they were afraid that the boats would be swamped by people in the water. Eventually, several of them do return. There was like accounts that our girl Unsinkable Molly demanded that her boat returns, but it was too late. They believe that almost all the people in the water died of cardiac arrest within 15 to 30 minutes because it was so cold.
Yikes. 30 minutes?
Yeah. I mean, 15 though also too, like likely 15, right? Like if you're lucky,
Yeah.
30 minutes. If you count that as luck.
I don't think that would be lucky at all. Like, in freezing
No, if you're
cold
already gonna
water.
die, yeah.
Like, in the middle of nowhere, like, I know I'm gonna die. 30 minutes sounds like torture.
Yeah.
Ugh.
So only 13 people were helped into the lifeboats. The capacity that these lifeboats could have, they could have accommodated for 500 more people.
Oh
Dang.
my God.
It's fucked up.
You know what, though? I bet those 13 people that got picked back up, I bet they never went on a boat again. Those people that had a taste of what it would have been like to drown, they never set foot on another boat for the rest of their lives. I would bet money on it.
Yeah, to be fair, land is pretty great. Like, land is pretty okay.
Land is nice. Okay, so the ship went down at 2:20 a.m. Takes about 30 minutes for people to die. So that's 2:50 a.m. is when like everyone stopped like being alive. 3:30 a.m. the Carpathia arrives, firing rockets into the air. They were able to start like the first lifeboat to reach the Carpathia came around 4:10 a.m. It takes several hours for the ship to pick up all the survivors. Ismay, the guy that we all hate and think is like a real big coward, he only writes this one message to the Starline officers saying, deeply regret, advise you, Titanic sank this morning, 15th, after collision iceberg, resulting serious loss of life. Further particles later.
Nice.
Fuck you, man. You fucking dick. So remember that boat that was really close? The Californian?
Yeah.
It shows up at 8:30 in the morning.
Amazing.
When the guy finally
had
rolled
time
out
to
of bed
wake
and
up,
checked his messages.
Had time to wake up, make a cup of coffee, maybe get
Dude,
some
yeah.
toast.
Probably
check
eating
his
his
messages.
eggs there. Yeah.
Exactly.
Oh, I guess there was a boat that sank yesterday, guys. We should probably turn and go that direction. We might be a little late.
So yeah, at 5:30 a.m. they learned about the Titanic sinking. It searched the air for several hours, but fails to find any survivors. Californian, you are too little, too late, dog. Go, don't even show up at this point.
Better late than never, Leila. They just wanted to see the show.
So, 8:50 a.m., the Carpathia, carrying the 705 Titanic survivors, head to New York City, where they will be met by massive crowds on April 18th. So apparently, though, their trip to New York was not the best because everyone's really sad, but also the weather wasn't good. But
and it's raining.
So, fewer than a third of those aboard survived the disaster, which is fucked up. It's really so sad. So when the Carpathia arrives in New York, 40,000 people were standing on the wharves waiting for the people, for passengers. Even before the Carpathia arrives, efforts went underway to retrieve the dead. 4 ships chartered by White Star Line succeeded to retrieving 328 bodies. 119 of them were buried at sea, while there was a remaining 209 was brought ashore to be buried in a big cemetery. But they did not find everyone who was out there.
Dude, I don't know that much about corpses at sea. Do they float? Or how would you find 300 people in the water?
Well, they had floaties.
They had the life vest. Oh my God.
Yeah, they had the life vests.
Who gets the lovely job of doing that, though?
A couple of nice seamen.
Like some good seamen.
There's ocean archaeologists. I'm sure they have a name for what they are, but there's people that go exploring the Titanic.
That is true. I'll tell you about them later.
Yay.
Also, to answer your questions, dead bodies do float. There are gases that release in our bodies that cause us to float.
That's disgusting.
It's gross. Yeah.
I thought you loved
would
gas.
All shrivel up and then you bloat.
Amber, I love gas. I don't love that kind of gas.
So, as you could imagine, there were the public reaction was shock and outrage. They were like, why were there so many few lifeboats? Why did Ismay not stay on the boat? And why did he get to live and everyone else die? And then why were they in an ice field with full speed? Which are all great questions. So there were some inquiries by the U.S. and Britain that were set up. And they basically came to the same conclusions that the regulations of the number of lifeboats on the ship had to carry were out of date and inadequate. The regulations on the number of lifeboats on the ship that had carry out were out of date and inadequate. Wow, I can't even say it. Oh my God.
God.
Inadequate. The regulation on the number of lifeboats that were carried out were out of date, and there wasn't enough because obviously there wasn't enough.
Because Leila is having a stroke.
That the Captain Smith had failed to take proper heed of the ice warnings, but they kind of go back and forth on this because basically it's at the time he was doing what was protocol, they thought that it would be okay, so they just basically were like, yo, if there's ice warnings, pay attention to those. That the lifeboats were not properly filled or crewed, which, obviously because there was 500 more that were available to be, seated. The collision was a direct result of steaming into a dangerous area with too high of speed, obviously. And basically they criticized the captain of the California for failing to render assistance to the Titanic. So basically what they end up doing is that they improved safety measures. They made sure that every boat had enough lifeboats for the amount of people on it. That there was more lifeboat drills, and that radio equipment on passenger ships were manned around the clock.
That would make sense.
That checks out. I'm still, that one dude who just went to sleep.
He was
Absolutely
his fucking
unreal.
boss was like, go to bed. You know what I mean? Like,
Shit's
you only pay
over,
me so
man.
much, so okay.
Yeah, like, nobody ever calls us at this hour. Don't need to be up. Must be a scam.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, so then that that happened. That was the aftermath. And this is like the modern time effects that the Titanic has had on our society. Obviously, more boat regulations. On September 1st, 1985, Robert Ballard finds the wreck of the Titanic. Him and his dad like explored it, and it was like the first time they found it. They basically finding it proves like some theories about like that the it was hit by an iceberg, not like a fire, or it didn't go down because of like some plot against America or whatever.
Of course, that was like on the theory list. Of course, it was.
Yes, exactly. There's a whole Wikipedia article about the conspiracies, and I was like, it is 2:30. I am not reading these. James Cameron, our boy.
Oh man.
He created the Titanic, the movie, which is the most commercially successful film about the ship sinking. It also was the highest grossing film in history 9 weeks after opening on December 19th, 1997. And it was the first film to ever gross $1 billion worldwide. Good job,
Not no more,
Mr.
though.
Cameron.
Talk about capitalizing on a tragedy.
Yo,
but
dude,
whatever.
there's a whole thing though about like why it was so successful, and it is a disaster movie that was like freaking advertised as a romance movie.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it really
There's
had
like this point, Dani, where like, okay, so there's like a 1920s car, right? And they're having sex inside of the car, and like, it's been a long time since I've seen the movie, but I'm pretty sure the ship crashes while they're having sex in the car.
I think it's like when he comes.
that
You're
was
right.
the climax of the piece.
Dude, but like honestly, there's like this iconic scene where then her hand slaps the window and like
Her
streaks
hand
down.
hits the window. Yeah.
It streaks down on the window of the car because they were having the steamiest sex.
The steamy.
The quote, Dani, paint me like one of your French girls, is from Titanic.
It's true.
Oh, I'm familiar. That's all I know is that one scene with the musicians and the paint me like one of your French girls.
Well, and now you know the car sex
That's
scene.
all I need to know. Yes. 3 good bits from the Titanic and not 3 hours of my life. Fantastic.
Man, I was like 6, 7 years old when that movie came out, and like, oh man, I remember like that romance being like my little like 7-year-old heart was like, oh shit, like,
Oh my god.
I was like, am I turned on? Ew.
I don't. All right, we're gonna have to cut some of that out.
7-year-old Leila. Yeah.
That's
Keep
when
it
I
in.
knew I was not asexual.
We can't talk about this on our first episode. We can't. I'm putting my foot down. This has to go out.
We're almost 2 hours in. If people stuck around this long, they deserve to get some juicy
I know,
juicy
this is the
content.
thing.
I am
Like
not
this.
co-signing this. Whoever's listening
Also,
to this.
Layla's editing
true,
it.
I am editing this.
Layla's editing it, so Layla can leave
true.
it in.
Okay, so 2 more things for us to talk about here. In 2012, Australian billionaire Clive Palmer announces that he is going to he's going to build a ship called the Titanic 2.
The sequel.
I heard about this. I didn't know it was in 2012. That was so long ago.
Well, it's been delayed.
I thought this was like a recent thing. Oh, okay.
It's been delayed like I think like 3 times now, and now it's been delayed to 2022. So that was
You said 2020, and I got so excited. Leila. So excited.
2022. 2.
Are you going to buy a ticket for it? Make sure you don't get the third class ticket because we know what happens to those passengers.
Yeah, I'm gonna give them $100,000. Gonna get my first class ticket.
Okay, so then the last thing that I want to just kind of highlight is that there is this woman named Melvina Dean. She was the oldest surviving passenger of the Titanic, but she was also the youngest passenger on the Titanic, and she was on the Titanic at 2 months old. Yeah,
Whoa.
isn't that crazy?
Oh,
Wow.
that's pretty cool.
So yeah, she was the last surviving survivor, I guess, and the youngest survivor and passenger.
I mean, it's pretty cool she made it.
Yeah, right? Good for her. She
That's
did some
awesome.
cool ass shit too.
But like that's okay, like that's such a good fun fact for that woman. She also like doesn't have the trauma of experiencing that event. And she gets to be like, "Oh yeah, I was on the Titanic. You remember that one ship that sunk? Like I was on that."
Jesus Christ.
She was a civil servant and a cartographer. That was her profession.
Oh, that's nice.
I know.
It's pretty funny she went into map making. That's pretty
She's
funny.
like, "These fuckers were 13 miles off. We're going to fix that."
She was actually a third-class passenger too, which was crazy.
One of the ones that did not get locked in the murder basement.
They just threw her over the gate.
Passing between the bars.
Oh no.
What a disaster.
Layla,
Yes.
that was a thorough analysis of that disaster.
That's the story of the Titanic, you guys.
Yo.
That was lovely.
Bravo.
Thank you, Layla.
Thank you. That was fun. I mean, I had fun. I mean, I'm sure they didn't have fun, but I had a great time.
That disaster probably was not fun, you're right. But like talking about it way long after it's gone, after the wound has healed, maybe it's okay. We can talk about
Should
it.
we have like a takeaway, like a hindsight thing for all our disasters?
Sure. I mean, I feel like the takeaway for me is like, safety first.
Yeah.
Yeah, I feel like after all this time they've probably like advanced so many of the safety features because of incidents like that. Like it kind of takes something to go catastrophically wrong for them to realize like, okay, this is not good, this is not good, this is not good. So I'm sure like so many boats now have things that have come from the Titanic sinking and us
True.
realizing that things are a bad idea.
Let people make mistakes and you gotta learn from other people's mistakes.
My family went on a cruise when I was 15. And I remember when we first got on it, it was a Carnival cruise. Like, it was mandatory. Everybody on the boat had to go through, like, a safety thing that was, like, an hour that was like, this is where the boats are. This is your boat safety person. And I remember being 15 and being like, this is stupid. But now I understand.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you can
An
thank
hour
everyone
long?
on the Titanic for teaching you that lesson.
Oh, but dude, an hour long? That's a long
Yeah,
safety
I kind of wanted to
presentation.
just go do something else, but, whatever.
But yeah, this was a good first podcast. I have to admit, Layla, I did not expect it to go a full 2 hours.
I didn't either, to be honest. But
yeah.
it's more than
So
anything, it's
we're-
really fun to talk to you guys. And like, I just think it's more that it's just, the lovely part of it is us just, just spending time together.
This is a good excuse for us to hang out.
I've had such a good time doing this.
That's great.
I will say it hasn't been great sitting with no air conditioning for 2 hours.
Hey,
That
we're
has
all on
not
the same
been the
boat,
best.
Ambi.
I've been doing great. I'm just sitting here steamy with my sweaty cheeks
Christ.
over here.
I feel a
Just
little
vibing,
bit swampy.
everyone.
I'm just saying. I feel good. I'm having fun. I'm happy talking to you guys. I'm a little bit swampy.
All right, well, we can wrap up. Okay, well, Len, you guys, Amber, how can people find you on the internet if they're interested in following you in places?
If you wanted to find me on the internet, the easiest way to do that would be on Twitter at Mielfuz, Mielfuzz.
Dani, how can people find you?
You can find me everywhere at Super Duper Dani. That's all my nerd stuff. So if you like nerd stuff, you're in for a treat.
Lovely. And I am everywhere at Leila was here, branded.
This was fun. So we're going to have, this is going to be a weekly podcast. Yes. So
Every week.
Look forward to a new
Yes,
podcast.
releases on Tuesday.
Yeah. Next Tuesday, everyone. See you next Tuesday.
Yeehaw. Bye, everybody.
Toodaloo.
Bye-bye.
The Disastrous Podcast is hosted and produced by Amber Brown, Dani Sanchez, and myself, Leila Work. Audio and video edit by Austin Weary, and music by Nick Lennon. Thank you for listening, and we will see you next Tuesday. Hey lady, ready to go?